I paid $2,387 for an entire pallet of broken PS4s, and if I can fix more than 15 of them, I'm gonna give them away. So let's open it up and see what I got. All right, and here we go. So I've got two big full boxes of broken PS4s. Now it's time to open them up and see how they look. All right, and here we go with the first box. I hope these are in okay condition. They're big old heavy boxes, so. Okay, I see a PS4 Pro, PS4 Slim, a bunch of originals. The packaging is not that impressive. That kind of worries me. This PS4 is like wedged in here. Let's get the other box opened up and see what those look like. Okay, oh, and this is cool. Look at what's right on the top. Special edition PS4 Pro. And we've got quite a few more PS4 Originals. 1, 2, 3 PS4 Slims, 2 PS4 Pros. There's one here and including that one. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 PS4 Originals. That's about what I expected. Now that I have these all unboxed, I'm gonna get them into my repair desk, see what's wrong with them all, and see if I got ripped off. Thank you to iFixit for sponsoring this ridiculous video. I've got all these PS4s up on my repair bench now. I'm gonna start with the PS4 Originals and see what all's wrong with them and if I can fix them. So 15 of the 22 PS4s that I got are the PS4 Originals. I gotta get them all hooked up to the TV, start them up, and then see exactly what's wrong, and then we can get to the fixing. So here we are with the first PS4. I've got the HDMI and power plugged in. Let's see if it has power and if it turns on. Eject button works. Power button works. One of my main concerns with these is the blue light of death. The blue light of death usually is caused by a bad APU or faulty solder joints between the APU and motherboard. So I hope there's not many of those. This one is looking good so far. It actually shows up on the screen, so that's great news. And we do have a white light as well. The blue light of death, unfortunately, in most cases is not permanently fixable, so I generally just don't even try and fix those just because it's usually not worth the time. Okay, we got the PlayStation logo. While it's starting up, I'm going to test the disk drive. And the disk drive is spinning up fully. And here we go, PS4 number 1 is up and running. The game is showing up on the screen. It's connected to the internet. I see absolutely no problems at all with this one. I'll test it more fully off screen, but PS4 number 1 looks, sounds, and works great. Let's move on to PS4 number 2. PS4 number 2 definitely has a good amount of dust built up in the air intake vents. Let's see if it starts up and runs. Here we go with PS4 number 2. Okay, number 2 is starting up normally so far as well. We've got a white light and it's just checking the system storage. So PS4 number 2 is working normally so far. Definitely dusty. The game just doesn't go in nice and smooth, but it does show up on the screen and play normally. This one at a minimum needs a new fan and a cleaning, so I'm gonna get that done now, and then I think we'll be done with this one. Actually, it doesn't look that bad so far, just from this little bit, but I know it definitely is dirty, and it'll probably get more dirty as we go inside further. I'm gonna be using iFixit's Manta Precision bit set. This is like the bigger brother to the ProTech toolkit, and it just has a larger variety of bits and also a larger driver. I'm excited to check that out. This is actually the first time I have seen one of these or used it. I've seen them advertised and I've wanted one, and iFixit sent me out one so I could have a look at it and show you guys. So this is the inside of it, and several things stand out. Look at these bits. These are much longer than the ProTech toolkit and longer than most of the bits you can get in other toolkits. They also have some of the larger bits as well, and some more obscure ones too. So between that and this driver, I'm super excited to use this driver as it's much bigger, so it doesn't hurt your hands as much if you have to put a lot of torque on it. So I'm gonna try this out and see how I like it. And we're looking for a Torx T8. Okay, here we go. This should show how dirty it is. Yeah, there we go. That's pretty dirty inside. Must have some spiderweb looking things. But at least it's not cockroaches. Also have a little bit of liquid on here. Have to check under this plate and see if it got on this. It doesn't look like it did, so I'm not too worried about that. Fan actually isn't even that dirty. One trick you can do on these to check the heatsink is actually just look through the fan fins right here. And I can see that the heatsink fins are totally clean in there, almost totally clean. They have a little bit of dust on them, but nothing too serious. So that tells me I don't need to tear this all the way down to get to that. I was gonna replace the fan, but the fan actually feels fine. I'm gonna clean up the fan, make sure it's nice and clean, and make sure that the blades are all balanced. Then I'll take the disk drive out and clean those rollers, and this one should be good to go after that. And here we have the two rollers that pull the disc in. There's a motor back here that feeds some gears under here that turns these rollers, and that's what pull your disc into the disc drive. If these rollers get dirty, then it's gonna work a lot harder, and it might not even pull it in at all if these get too dirty. So let me show you what I'm talking about. There we go, see that Q-tip? It's all the dirt that came off of this one roller. Let's do the other one. There you go. So these rollers, they're supposed to be not really sticky, but almost a little bit sticky. At a very minimum, they need to be nice and clean, because then they kind of stick onto, they don't really stick, but they just pull in the disc much better when they are nice and clean. And there we go. This one's gonna pull the discs in much better now. Now that those are all in, I'm gonna give the lasers just a touch up using isopropyl alcohol, just to make sure they're nice and clean. Now I'm gonna clean up this disk drive a little bit more. We'll get it put back in the PS4, then we'll finish cleaning up the PS4 and give it a test. Another thing I like to do is make sure all the dust is cleaned off of this, because as you're putting your disc in, if these are dusty, that can just be getting dust right on your disc. So I'll take a brush and clean it all off and then install it back onto the rest of the disk drive. And you can see how much better that looks already. So it's all fixed and all cleaned up. Let's test the disk drive and see how well the discs go in. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So PS4 number 2 is all cleaned and working great. Now it's time to move on to PS4 number 3. Once again, don't forget, if we get to 15, I'm gonna give them all away. So let's plug in number 3 and see what it does. Disc goes in a little slow. So PS4 number 3 actually seems to work fine. I'm not sure why so far these three really have not had any major problems. I'm hoping that's great news for the rest of them, because so far we're 3 out of 22. Let's move on to number 4. Also, I need to mention that I will be testing these more further off camera just to make sure everything truly is working. I don't want to do all those tests on camera because this would be like an hour-long video and nobody wants to see that. Here we go with number 4. Let's see if number 4 is going to be an easy fix too. Let's see what happens with the disc. That disk drive actually works pretty well. The disc goes in nicely. Let's see if it comes up on the screen. And we have the PlayStation logo. And PS4 number 4 is also working well, which is strange. I expected there to be a lot more problems with these. So far, these are looking great. The outsides definitely don't look the best, but most of this I can actually clean off with a wet paper towel or a wet rag. Some of this, like this over here, this is all rubbing and that's not gonna come off. So cosmetically, these aren't in the best condition, but they're definitely not in the worst either. I guess with that, we'll move on to number 5. Number 5 is also working great. Number 6, though, even says on the label, broken disk drive. I promise this is not a clickbait video. I bought these as salvage, which means they should be broken theoretically. I'm not sure why they listed them all as salvage when so many of them seem to work fine. Let's move on to number 6 and check out this broken disk drive. I have number 6 started up. Let's check this disk drive and see if it's actually broken. Is it weird that I'm hoping that this PS4 is broken? Okay, it's spinning up. Sounds normal so far. The disk drive's not broken, the disk drive's just fine. I mean, I'm even a little bit disappointed in this lot. I thought I was buying a whole pallet of broken PS4s, and so far, out of 6, 0 of them are broken. I mean, that's good news for the giveaway, but I mean, this video is getting kind of boring, right? Well, here's to hoping number 7 is broken. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, well, that didn't take long. This one has a disk drive that just started running as soon as I turned it on, so I'm gonna have to take the bottom cover off and have a look at that. All right, and we have the back cover off. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on here. Oh, there we go. Okay, we definitely have to take this disk drive out and take it apart to see what exactly is going on inside there. Here we go, I can see the problem already. We got some sort of card stuck down in there. So I'm gonna take this cover off, get it out, see what it is. All right, and here we go. What do we got? Hey, this actually fits in here like perfectly. Look at that. 1 free mod size pizza, valid through June 20th, 2020. I'm getting paid in pizza to fix PS4s. Is that not the best job ever? And the best news is that that's the only thing wrong with this disk drive. I am gonna clean the rollers just since I'm in here, but other than that, this looks absolutely clean. So I'm gonna get these cleaned real quick, put them back in, put the disk drive back in, and then test it. Number 7 is turned on. Let's try the disk drive. Takes it in, let's see if it spins up. And it does. Number 7 is working good. Now it's time to move on to number 8. I'm already halfway through this lot of 22 PS4s and I've fixed 11 out of 11. So far it's looking great for that giveaway. I still have to fix 4 more though. Let's keep going and see if I can do it. So I just had 14 PS4s in a row that had either no problems at all or very easy problems to fix. This is number 15. If I can fix this one, or if it works, I'm gonna be giving all 15 away. But even after number 15, I've got more PS4 Slims and more PS4 Pros to try and fix or just test and make sure they work. And also I wanted to let you know I get lots of questions about whether I fix PS4s still or not. And unfortunately, I don't still fix PS4s, but one of my technicians, Shane from ShaneFix, does fix them. If you're looking to get your PS4 fixed, go to shanefix.com. Now let's test number 15 and see if it works. Okay, we got it all plugged in. Eject button works. And here's the power button. Okay, it turns on. Let's check the disk drive. Takes a disk. Let's see if it comes up on the screen. And here we go, number 15 looks like it also works just fine, so I'm officially giving away 15 PS4 Originals. I'll give you more details a little later in the video. Let's move on to the PS4 Slims and the PS4 Pros. I still can't believe I bought a whole pallet of broken PS4s and very few of them are actually broken. These ones might be broken. In fact, this one on the top says the display is glitching. Let's see if it actually is. Yes, we finally have a PS4 that's broken. The display is definitely glitching out on this one. I'm gonna get to that repair in a minute. I'm gonna test the rest of these and just see if any of them actually have any problems. Oh yeah, this one also has a problem. You can hear the disk drive. We got some major disk drive problems on this one, so we'll be checking that one out as well. Number 19 has a problem with the eject button. I'm not going to test the disk drive on this one. I'm not going to put a disk in it just because I don't want to have problems getting it out. So we will need to check that. Let's move on to number 20. Now it's time to test the 3 PS4 Pros. Let's see if they work. Ooh. Okay, so this first PS4 Pro just spits the disc right back out. Other than that, this one looks good, so let's check the other Pros. And no problems found on number 21. We've got one more special edition PS4 Pro. Let's look at number 22. And the Star Wars Special Edition PS4 Pro works great. I see no problems at all. I'll test it fully off camera just to make sure. Now it's time to get to the 4 repairs. So I'm gonna start with number 17, which has a faulty disk drive. On the PS4 Slim, the disk drive is pretty easy to get to. You just have to take off this cover, and then you also have to take off this cover. This one I noticed right away, the metal plate right here is bent. It's kind of hard to see on camera. There you can see it a little better. It's bent right here. So that could be the cause of the problem, and I'll show you why when I get inside. This one also has these little plastic tabs, and you'll see how to do that while I'm taking this plate off as well. I'm gonna start by taking out the power supply, and then we'll get to the plate. For these little plastic rivets or thermal welds, I'm gonna be using a very small, just regular slotted bit. And I'm gonna get under and kind of like remove this little collar on the outside enough so the metal plate hole can slip off of the rivet. You need to do that for all of the plastic thermal welds, and then this plate will come off. And there we go, we got that metal plate off. Now we need to inspect the disk drive and see if we can figure out what's going on with it. The most likely cause of the problem is this bent metal plate, because when the metal plate sits down in there and it's bent, what happens is it keeps these plastic arms open. And I'm actually just now seeing we do have a plastic part that was stuck right there. So I'm gonna take this plate off and see if that was a part from inside or whether that was a part of something else. I don't see any broken parts, and I don't see any broken parts in here either. Everything looks totally normal in here. Oh, except for, you can see this laser actually isn't being held on down here. Okay, power supply is in, the device is plugged in, let's see what happens. Okay, we definitely still have a problem. I'm gonna get the disc out and we'll take a look at it again. So you can see the laser is trying to find the disc, trying to see if there's a disc in there, trying to read it, but it's not seeing anything at all. I think there's actually some sort of problem maybe with the motor. That's what makes that buzzing sound. So for this Slim, I'm gonna have to take the rest of it apart to get to the top side of the disk drive so I can get that laser and carrier assembly out. Then we can have a look at that. I don't know that it's the only problem, but this little piece right here is bent down under this rail. That's definitely a problem. I'm gonna take this little screw out, we'll get that piece out and then see if we can get it bent back and see if that'll work. We might just have to replace this whole assembly. That definitely feels a lot better. I feel like it is not skipping on the worm gear down there like it was. I'm going to inspect it a little bit more and see if I think it's going to work, and then I'll put it back together enough to test it and we'll see if it works. And just need to install the perfect amount of thermal paste. There we go. Now it's back together enough to test. I'm gonna put a disc in and see if it works. That's what it's supposed to sound like. So we have this one all fixed. I'm gonna finish putting it all back together and then move on to the next PS4. PS4 number 19 has the eject button that doesn't work, so I'm gonna get the bottom cover off of that one and check it out. So that's the eject button right there. There's the power button. You can see how they're kind of discolored right there. This corner probably took a hit or a fall. There is also a crack in it, so that's also an indication. Let's check the buttons themselves. So here are the buttons themselves on this little board. Power button definitely works. The disk drive button sort of works. I gotta look at that a little closer and see if that's something that's gonna work or not. I'm gonna get this little board out so we can have a better look at it. And here we go, this is what I'm talking about. So this button actually is starting to come apart. So I'm gonna need to replace this little board. I could just replace this little button, but since there's nowhere to buy those, it's just easier and better just to replace this whole board. So I'm gonna get another one of those, put it on, and then we can put the bottom cover on and test it and make sure it works. This is what a good button looks like, and this is what the bad one looks like. Okay, everything sounds good there. Let's check the button. And the button works great. Now I'm gonna move on to the PS4 that also has a disk drive problem. And then after that, we'll get to the PS4 Slim that has a glitching display. And just as a reminder, this PS4 Pro will spit out the disc and you can hear the motor running when there's no disc in it. So I'm gonna take it apart and first check the ribbon cables. And that is absolutely disgusting. Obviously, this one is cockroach infested, and I would guess that that has something to do with the disk drive problem that I'm having. The good news is that none of these are alive, but it is still pretty disgusting to work on a cockroach-infested PS4. So I'm gonna get some gloves on, get this in a tub so all the disgustingness is contained, and then we'll take it apart and check out that disk drive. One of the things I've noticed as I'm putting this back together is these connectors definitely have some, I don't even want to know what this is, I don't want to think about it, I'm going to clean it all off, and hopefully that will help to get this thing working all the way. This could cause a problem with the disk drive. Also, same thing over here, some sort of debris around the connector, so I'm going to clean all those off, and I think that could be the problem as well. Okay, it's together enough to test. The eject button works. Let's see if it takes the disc and keeps it in. Good. And done. This PS4 Pro is now fixed. I think it was probably mostly a problem with those ribbon cables that were all, I don't know, corroded or had whatever junk on it. Probably crossed several of the wires, which caused it to just randomly eject. Let's move on to the last PS4, the PS4 Slim that's been glitching out on the screen. So our last PS4 Slim has graphical glitches on the screen. I'm gonna get it taken apart because most of the time that is caused by the HDMI IC chip, so I'm gonna get that replaced and I'll show you how to do it. There is a small chance that it's caused by the APU, in which case that will not be something I can fix today, but hopefully it's just an IC chip and I can fix all 22 of these broken PS4s. If you would like to enter the giveaway for one of the 15 PS4 Originals that I fixed, scroll down to the very bottom of the description of this video and you'll find the link to enter there. So this is the HDMI encoder chip. To remove this chip, I'm gonna need to heat it all up and then use a pair of tweezers just to pull it off the board. And then I will use this brand new chip, but I'll also need to prep the pads by tinning them with solder and then a little bit of solder on this big ground plane in the middle, and then it'll go onto the board much easier. Now that the encoder chip is replaced, I have to put on the perfect amount of thermal paste, put it all back together, and then we'll plug it in and see if it works. So we have the repair done. I'm gonna plug it in. You think it's gonna work? Let's try it out. Okay, everything looks good so far. We gotta get it into the dashboard to see if those graphical glitches are still there. Here we go. Oh, and they're still there. I don't know how well you can see it on the screen. Unfortunately, since they're still there with the encoder chip replaced, that means that it's likely an APU problem, so number 16 is not gonna be fixable. The great news is that 21 out of 22 were fixable. I mean, even though most of them didn't need to be fixed, but still, there was only one that isn't working now. I'd say that's pretty good. This may have been my best salvage lot ever. Thank you to iFixit for sponsoring this video. Thank you to you for watching it, and I hope you have a good one.